Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your service. Don't worry, it is just a replica. The Army Colt 1860. This will play a huge part in the film we're about to discuss. 1990 saw Tom Selleck in one of the greatest modern westerns there is, although no one ever talks about it. Directed by Simon Winter, who made the great TV miniseries Lonesome Dove. A connection being that Simon Winter then went on to make Quigley Down Under, this movie, and Basil Poledouris, the great Basil Poledouris, the composer from Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, The Hunt for Red October, RoboCop, Starship Troopers, come on now, The Blue Lagoon. He scored Lonesome Dove for Simon Winter, and then he came on board with this score, which you can hear right now, for Quigley Down Under. Quigley is Tom Selleck. Matthew Quigley is an American sharpshooter. We're talking the Western period. We're talking like the late 1870s, maybe 1880s. And he answers a call for employment on the new frontier, Australia, Oz, and a big cattle baron down there, played by Alan Rickman, the great Alan Rickman, wants someone to eliminate dingoes, that's wild dogs, from his land. But he wants a guy who's an expert sharpshooter, an expert gunfighter. So Matthew Quigley thinks, well, okay, it's other side of the world, it's good money. Just for showing up, he's going to get like 100 gold pieces or something like that. So anyway, he arrives in Fremantle, Australia, makes an impact pretty much right away, and because he's got a great big Stetson, rolled up, he's got his saddlebags over his shoulder, and he's carrying a Sharps rifle, which is a 6 foot long rifle. I'm just shy of 5'7". Yes, I know, Kilt-Man looks huge on his videos, but he's not. He's a little man. He's a little man, but with a really big ego and huge self-esteem and pride, but only a short arse. And so he's got a 6 foot rifle, which is bigger than me by a good 3 inches, And the Sharps rifle in this movie is spectacular, as he describes it to us. Like, it's a breech-loading, lever-operated rifle. It's modified to fire 45 caliber bullets. These are huge bullets, and they're paper wrapped. And the thing I love about the film is it does discuss weaponry quite a lot, and how important it is, and how you rearm yourself, how you reload, how you make your own reloads. It does discuss all of this. So anyway, he arrives there, and straight away he's flung into the fight. A proper old school Western fight. Because Simon Winter's movie of Quigley Down Under, which is just a Western relocated, is purely a Western. It looks like a Western, it sounds like a Western, even though there's a few different accents in there. Mainly Irish and English. English from Alan Rickman, playing Marston, this tyrannical bastard of a land baron. And most of his men, and he's got an army of henchmen, and they're all Irish, or as the English redcoats who are there, who are acting as police in the land, called Bog Irish, But he turns up there, he meets Cora, Crazy Cora. I'm looking for a name on that there. That's the rundown of the track listings, because I'm playing you the soundtrack. And played by the gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, kitten-faced but so sultry, Laura San Giancarlo. Oh my god. And she's crazy. She believes that Matthew Quigley is Roy, her husband, who's been missing. Her husband Roy, because she's American as well. What's she doing there? These two, he saves her from guys who are about to he thinks they're going to rape her and throw her in the back of a wagon to be driven off to some whorehouse somewhere. And in fact, the guys he beats up are the guys who've been sent to pick him up because they're Marston's men. So they make the journey across into the outback, and then they discover Marston and his huge cattle ranch, and it's beautiful, luxurious, very similar to the things that obviously Quigley would have encountered back home in the States, in the Wild West. But all the way, Cora has been like, she's crazy. It's almost like she's got some kind of dementia, and she's funny, she's attractive, and he's irritatingly getting on with her. But he doesn't want anywhere near him because she's really, this Roy. I'm not Roy. My name's Matthew. But this goes on. So he then has to prove himself to Marston. Marston is a gunfighter. He's English, but he studied American Wild West, American legendary gunfighters. He knows all about Dodge City. He knows about Billy the Kid. He knows about all these things, and he's got himself one of these. As have most of his men. They're carrying the 1860 Army Colt, which is I love the fact that this is in the movie a lot. In a lot of Clint Eastwood movies, this seems to be the weapon used, but it often isn't. It's the Navy Colt. I know, the pedantics of weaponry, of old-fashioned frontier ballistics. Well, to someone like me, they mean a lot, and but in this movie, they're using this, and you see it in close-up, and it's used a lot, and becomes quite a focus of a story at some point. So he's sitting there, and he proves himself. He gets a guy to ride out with a bucket into the wild blue yonder, fucking horizon, and everyone's going like all these, the henchmen and Marston are going like, tell me when they want him to stop, and Matthew Quigley is just slowly putting his weapon together. He's got a great sight on it. We're not talking telescopic sights here. We're talking like, just an aperture, but it's so good and so finite that with his trained eye, he can pick off a target a quarter of a mile, half a mile away, a mile away even. And with a slug that big, Jesus Christ, and those shells will come out and he can reload those shells. That's how it happens. And he does, he proves himself, he blows this bucket to oblivion with several shots, and everyone's like, fucking hell. So of course, Marston invites him in for dinner that night. Here's your gold for just turning up. And now let's discuss. He's not there to shoot dingoes. No. And I think Quigley's kind of realised by now that why would you want someone of my sort of abilities with the weaponry that I've got here to shoot dogs? No. What he discovers is exactly what he left behind in America, the United States, the genocide of the Aboriginal people. In America, the Native Americans. And of course, in Australia, the eradication, which still is ongoing, as it is in America, the ostracisation and the slow societal genocide of and removal of the rights for the Aboriginal people. And the Aborigines in Quigley Down Under are horribly decimated. We see them shot, massacred, and literally driven off cliff tops to their deaths. And it is quite horrible. For a film that has a Western flavour, a distinct sense of humour, a very quirky sense of humour, but also plays up to all the cliches of the best Westerns. The hero will get beaten up, the hero will have an epiphany, he will not leave the girl behind, he will rise up and take vengeance back and smite down, the unworthy and the bastards and the evil, and ride off into the sunset with the heroine. That's what this film is about. It's set in Australia. But that really doesn't matter. The themes and the motives, the morals are all what we've seen before. But they're done with a really great degree of humour, charm, violence, and, and darkness, and genuine emotion. Folks, I adore this movie. I've seen it many, many, many times. But I watched it again the other night and I thought, oh God, how is it I forgot about this? I need to discuss this movie on my channel for all of you lovely people. So he's having dinner with Marston, and Marston outlines his real plan. And in a great cut, next thing you see, all his men are outside sitting there, how come we're eating dog shite here? And he's having all a fine dinner in there and he's just got here. Next thing, Marston, who's the big boss, comes flying out the doors like with his nose bust, and that's Alan Rickman's nose. That was a big nose. He's going like, oh, Mr. Marsden, what's happening? He goes like, no, don't worry. No one throws me out of my own house. And he goes back in and then comes flying out again. Well, don't just sit there. Go and get him. Anyway, even though, because he's now made a point of his morals and he will not do this job, the men overpower him. Ironically, he's actually knocked out by the Aboriginal manservant, who was basically a slave there. And he's then, him and Crazy Cora are dragged out 2 miles into the outback. 2 miles, 2 days into the outback, and then dumped there. But of course, he's our hero, and that ain't gonna happen. And he manages to trick the people who've left him there, kills both of them, and then with Cora, he's gonna mount a one-man vengeance spree back against, Marsden and his men. But they will encounter, they will go through traipsing through the outback under the glaring sun, no water, they're going to collapse. The Aborigines will find them and they will have a bit of a trip which introduces them to the way of life of the Aborigines, and they learn to love that. Not that, Quigley had any qualms about, the native people. He was like, no, I totally endorse it anyway. He's not a bad man. He's a very, very good man. But you hear the tragic story of Cora's background, how she ended up in Australia, because she's American too. How did she end up there? Who is this mysterious Roy? What happened to Roy? And it turns out in a really, this could have gone really badly hackneyed, but it doesn't. And it's thanks to both of their performances. Tom Selleck is great at comedy. Magnum PI, 3 Men and a Baby. He's this guy. He's a great comedy actor. He can do the action as well, as proved with many other movies. Runaway for one thing, like the sci-fi one. And of course, this guy was meant to be Indiana Jones, and he then got Lassiter by mistake, which wasn't very good. But you could tell that this guy he could have done Indiana Jones without a doubt. He's got that charisma. But Laura Sangiancino tells him that her husband had a baby, and the husband was away at the time. And it's always Comanches, by the way. In the recent film Hostiles with Christian Bale and Wes Studi, it was Comanches who performed the atrocity at the start of the movie. And Comanches attack, and she hides in the fruit cellar with the baby. But the baby starts crying, the 1-year-old son, or 6-month-old son, whatever. And she puts her hand over its mouth to keep it quiet. And when the husband comes back and the Comanches have gone, she smothered and suffocated the child. And in her story, which is, I find it very moving, very heartbreaking, because the way that she plays a character who is so sort of bipolar. She's crazy and anarchic, and she can fight tooth and nail. So when you see it involved in scraps and stuff, you're not really afraid of it, because she can give as good as she gets, if not better. But then there'll be heartbreak, there'll be Roy this, Roy that. Listen lady, I'm not Roy. And then the next day, who am I? Who am I today? And she'll go, you're Matthew Quigley, you always have been. Because her brain is it's splintered. And you get it from this, because without being the waterworks, she brings on the pathos as she relives this horrible nightmare when the husband comes back and finds that the son has been killed. She smothered it by accident. So what happens is he rides her out to the coast, and he puts her on the first ship away from the country. They bury the son and he puts her on the first ship out, which happens to be going to Australia. And she says he never looked back, because she knows that she watched. He never looked back. He rode off, and that was it. Never seen Roy again. So her brain and mind has been splintered because of this traumatic event. And brilliantly, and it's clever, but it is a cliche the way it's done. But it works when the Aborigines are forced off the cliff edge, and Quigley starts blowing these bastards away, who are doing it, and he gets his saddlebags back, and he gets his means to reload back again. Cora goes down to the foot of the cliff, and she finds all these broken bodies, and because these are the people that brought them back to life, saved them while they were dying of starvation and thirst in the desert. These are the people that saved them, and they got to know them. And she hears crying, and she finds a baby that's hasn't been killed because it's landed, on the body of its mother. So she takes it in, and of course she's now getting, this is her second chance. And of course we all know, oh, this is terrible, oh God, but it's lovely. But if they're going to go this far, they're going to bookend it this way, something else is going to happen. And of course Quigley goes, right, I've got my weapons back, I've got everything back, I'm going to go and fucking get Marston, I'm going to do this. But he knows there's a town, he's been told there's a town just that way, so I need to get this reload done and get some provisions, and you need stuff for the baby, so I'll go and get food. And of course, while he's gone, dingoes, the bloody things that he was hired supposedly to take out, attack Cora and the baby. So Cora, she's been left with one of these, she manages to blow these things away. But there is a moment beforehand when they're creeping round and she's trying to keep the baby quiet. It's that little Aborigine baby. And, oh God, don't do it. Don't choke him. Don't smother him. So everything turns full circle. Inevitably, wherever Matthew Quigley goes, these bastards are after him. So he goes to this little town. He meets a lovely German couple and their son, and they give him food and provisions. He gets to reload his weapons. But at the same time, Marston's men have arrived there, and the poor German mother gets killed. The whole building, whole town gets set on fire. They pursue Quigley. Quigley climbs up and leaps from rooftop to rooftop. But he takes these bastards out. Apart from the last man, you're going to go back injured and you're going to tell Marston, I'm coming for him. And we all love that kind of thing, don't we? You tell him, I'm coming for him. And hell's coming with me. That's the old Kurt Russell line as Wyatt Earp from Tombstone. And he goes back, and of course he finds that she survived and all that. But I've got to go and take out Marston. And he will be, he won't just turn his back on it and ride out. He'll stop and he'll wave to it so she knows. It's touching. Everything gets a little payoff. And when he goes back, and in a great sequence of events, he tricks all the men who are forming a stronghold around this ranch. He tricks all of them. Like, I think there's going to be an attack during the night, but he doesn't. He just sits off and lays traps elsewhere. Because they're awake all night, come dawn, they're all like that. They're all half asleep, so they're making mistakes. So we can take pot shots and take half of them out. But they will go after him into the foothills, and inevitably they're going to capture him, and he gets dragged back in. Even though he's killed pretty much everyone, you've still got Marston, Alan Rickman, and two of his main henchmen. Dobkin for one. Dobkin is this great Irish guy. He's got an Irish version of the tam o' shanter on his head, big bobble on it. He's got a lovely feather in it and a nice little cap pin as well. He's a great looking character, to be honest. So there's three of them left, basically. That's it. And Quigley's been beaten up again. But Alan Rickman as Marston, he's so enamoured by the whole gunfighting thing that he wants a proper standoff. So even though he's been dragged behind a car and he's knackered, the great Quigley, stand him up over there and put his rifle in front of him. And Rickman's he's got one of these and he's like that. In fact, no, second thought, throw his rifle over there. Because at the start, he's made a point of okay, you've got your rifle, but I love this. This is the Samuel Colt made this. It's the 1860 Army Colt. It's my preferred weapon because he kills two deserters from the British Army who were over there, who we've already met. He's got a little understanding with the major of the Redcoats, who's a twat as well. And so he kills these two guys just to prove a point to Quigley, who then begins to realise, okay, this guy's not quite the guy I want to work for. So, and he says, oh, you're not familiar with the Army Colt. He goes, I prefer the rifle and all that. So at the end, when you have this big sort of shootout, he says, no, throw his rifle away. Go and get my spare pistol. So the other guy goes and runs and gets this, and he goes, put it in his belt. So of course you get the old Mexican style standoff, the Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood Man with no name standoff, And so he's facing 3 guys, and Quigley just comes out, boom, 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 takes them out, all of them. But, you know, as is always the way, he's killed the 2 henchmen straight off, but the bad guy, the lead bad guy, Rickman, is lying there, and Rickman's just like that, and he's going like, but, you know, you couldn't use one, you weren't familiar with one of these things. And he says like, oh, I said I had no use for one. I didn't say I didn't know how to use it. And it's just brilliant. But I love the way the firepower is used in the film. And like, you always see in movies, like, you know, the, well, these do cock twice. And that cock, that there, that is for fast shooting, which you can do. So bang, 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 bang. So it works. Now, this is a tremendous movie. It's exciting, it's funny, it's got real empathy, real heart. At the end of it, the Aborigine who knocked Quigley out, the manservant for Marston's manor, comes over, and Quigley's like, no, hang on, are we friends or what? Like, you knocked me out last time, if I remember rightly. And he gives him his rifle, and the 2 of them do that little nod. And then the guy, the Aborigine, walks off, and he's been given like a jacket and a waistcoat, a shirt, and he strips all that off and strides off naked into, you know, the outback. British Army arrives. It's all very contrived. I will totally concede that, but it's still great fun. Everything is bookended. Every line at the start gets a payoff. Everything you get told about gets a payoff. And, you know, it's so neatly done that it's irresistibly enjoyable. The redcoats ride up, massacre there. Well, you're going to hang for this then, you know, for Miss Matthew Quigley. And all of a sudden, like, on the horizon, all the way around, are hundreds of Aborigines, you know, with their spears. And it's like, you ain't going to be hanging me today, I don't think. So everything gets paid off. And, of course, he ends up with Laura San Giancarlo, Cora, crazy Cora. And it's beautiful. Their relationship is touching, very emotional. It's sparky, it's acerbic. She annoys us as much as she annoys him, but we then see the human side of her, and we understand why he begins to fall for her. And then when we get the tragic backstory, Jesus, it's powerful and emotive stuff. In a film which is often light and whimsical, and yet has these really dark asides, these genocidal massacres, and great action-packed shootouts, of which there is plenty. There's a lot of action in this movie, a lot of gunplay. And Selleck sells the role. He's superb, absolutely superb. I really wish that Tom Selleck had more of an action career, more of a dramatic career. Magnum P.I. cemented him, certainly. It's gone down in myth that he didn't get to become Indiana Jones, but he hasn't made that many movies. And yet, on the back of this, there should have been a slew. There could have been more Quigley movies. Alan Rickman, amazing. Absolutely amazing. But, as enjoyable as he is basically playing Hans Gruber again, and also the Sheriff of Nottingham. Perhaps more the Sheriff of Nottingham, because the Sheriff of Nottingham was a bit of a dandy fop, you know, a bit of an idiot. He was more pantomimic. Hans Gruber was very cool and assured and very in control. And yet he was upstaged by an American. Funnily enough, in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Alan Rickman, again playing the Sheriff of Nottingham, is upstaged by, well, we can't call Kevin Costner, you know, Robin Hood. He was an American, you know, and he gets upstaged by him. But it's superb. You can't take Alan Rickman's performance seriously in Prince of Thieves. It's brilliant and it's hysterical, but you don't see him as a real bad antagonist, you know, because he just is a buffoon, and you want more screen time for him, which of course Kevin Costner realised was happening and didn't like that, so wrote more crap scenes for himself and removed a lot of the Alan Rickman stuff. And in Quigley Down Under, you have a very similar character. He's a buffoon, he's an idiot, but he's a bastard. So you've got the cold-hearted ruthlessness, the almost fascism, and not caring at all about human life of Hans Gruber and Sheriff of Nottingham. but you've also got the idiocy, the egotistical nature of the sheriff. And Alan Rickman, no one was better than Rickman at doing that kind of role, and it is outstanding. And the other star of the show, Basil Poledouris' score. Let's get on to this. We have banjos, fiddles, this is the clarinet. Listen, this is the main theme. And this theme will reappear in various formats throughout the score. Tuba. It is like a one-man band when the cymbals come in. It's tin pot jauntiness. Little banjo. Fiddles will come in. It's funny, it's whimsical. It puts a smile on your face, and he will bring in a glorious western feel to give the broad expanse. Listen. That's almost Elmer Bernstein style of western. So enthusiastic, so upbeat. That's the original soundtrack. I have the extended soundtrack too. Just listen to this, how rambunctious it is. One man band. With that big bass drum and that big fucking thing hitting it. How awesome is that? That is a delight. I've had that in my earphones and I've strutted down the street. And I feel 10 feet tall. So that's bigger than his fucking rifle. Isn't that gorgeous? Chorus theme is very delightful and sweet, but I want to play for you another theme which you hear a lot in the movie. It covers most of the attack sequence, most of the action sequences. Here in this particular soundtrack, which is the normal major release one, the one you can still get. The expanded one, I don't think you can get anymore. I think that's sold out. But it's called The Attack, and you hear it in a lot of permutations, but mainly as you hear it here throughout most of the action scenes. But get on this. I love the way it starts. Listen how quickly this starts. The drums in the background. It's very western again. Very jarring. Horns, French horns, in earnest almost. Gives a more sincere and vulnerable side to the heroics. Very often you'll see that big bloody rifle come like that, and he'll do an impossible shot, and someone half a mile away gets blown through the air. Banjo comes in. It's a very sort of folky quality to it as well. Oh. My hawk feathers. Lakota Sioux hawk feathers. This particular cue is from That battle at the end where he lays siege to Marston's homestead, the ranch. He's lured people out, he's taken him out, he then gets pinned down, but he's got traps set for him. But there's also someone lying in wait for him who will outwit him, leading to his capture. Listen to this now. Shot through the leg, kicked in the face. Captured. A nice finale. Folks, Quigley Down Under, Tom Selleck's possibly finest hour, I would say. Finest 2 hours. It's a glorious throwback western, albeit set in Australia. But my God, does it work. Let's get on to a bit of that main title, because we're about to... Listen to that. There's such a sense of fun, adventure, the breaking of new boundaries. You know, new country, same old shit. But no one's going to take me down. But I've got this woman in my fucking ear. Roy? My name's not Roy, lady. Folks, Quigley Down Under. You know it makes sense. These are great, but that Sharps rifle, oh man, I want one of those. Guys, take it easy, keep it cool. Keep dry in this incessant rain. And I'm going to see you all later. Army Colt is no match for the 6 foot Sharps.